Drinking more water or not? It's the question. Should you be drinking 6 to 8 glasses of water each and every day? Some people say yes. This site says no. But more after the intro, you know? Actually, it was a rhyme. And with that being said, hello and welcome back to the episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm really looking forward to this episode because I think that this could be something that's incredibly important and incredibly relevant as well. But before we even go through the episode, there's 3 things that I'm willing to talk about. The first thing is, if you're willing to listen to this episode, because some people just like audiobooks and podcasts, then please go down in the description or in the show notes if you are on the podcast already, and just choose the podcast or choose the YouTube video. It should be linked down in the description. It should be the first link that you're gonna see, and you can just then choose where to listen to the podcast on, which might be Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, Breaker, Radio Republic, whatever it might be, you can choose. The second thing is the notes. In the following articles that we're going to go through, or following article, you're going to see that I'm having some highlights. Those highlights are going to be down in the linked in the description as well, and it is down in the PDF which you can download. So if you're not having the time for going through the whole video or the whole podcast, please download the PDF and read through it. It's probably going to take you like 8 seconds. Well, not exactly 8 seconds, but it is more or less a summary of the whole article. And third one is, if you're willing to have some background music in the video or also in the podcast, then please check out the third link and just choose your background music. So it is just a personalization of the whole experience of the YouTube video and also of the podcast. So just choose your volume, choose the music, choose whatever. It is there. It is amazing. But yeah, let's go through the article. So as you can see on the left of the screen, we are on the Office for Science and Society site, which is mcgill.com, I guess. I'm not quite sure. The link is anyway going to be down in the description, also in the show notes, if you're willing to check out the article on your own. What I'm seeing there is, first of all, that there is no responsive site, unfortunately, but it's not that important. The thing that we're going to talk about today is the water myth. It is a common belief that you have to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water per day, but this myth comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of some basic human physiology. First of all, I do want to say that it is not what I believe, I'm just presenting this, and it is kind of the main point of the whole video. I'm just willing to present this to just let you think critically. Whatever somebody, if it is a professor with a PhD, and if it is your mother, whomever it might be, if somebody's telling you something, you don't have to believe in everything. And I think it is very important to have critical thinking, and it really is important to just then being able to just search up the things and look for them on your own, so that you can actually either validate them or be like, well, it is actually not the case, Because I think also in terms of the water thing, like everyone is just saying like, okay, you should be drinking this amount of water and you should be drinking this amount of water and whatnot. But in the end, as they say, it is not quite the truth, at least not fully, And this is the reason why I'm willing to go through this, and I guess it is a really good example. So thanks to my friend Lucas for pointing this article out for me and for you as well. So for the public there, it is amazing. I think it is a pretty good article. And afterwards, we are also going to go through something maybe even more important, so that you can actually then figure out if it is kind of the truth or not, because they are also listing some really good science sites down on the very bottom of the article, which is, I think, something that's amazing, because often I kind of feel like, well, what website should I rely on? Is it this website? Is it that website? But let's see what the article is saying. And there you can actually see the highlights. And these highlights are going to be down in this PDF, summarized for free. You can download it and print it and do whatever with it. It is a common belief that you have to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water per day. My mother said it. Well, at least not 6 to 8 glasses of water, but everyone says like, okay, you should drink 1.2 to 2 liters a day. If you were to ask someone why you need to drink this much water every day, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you. Or at least they're going to be something like, okay, you need to drink water to flush out toxins, or for your kidney it is going to be good and whatnot. This is something that they're going to be talking about just a little bit further down in this article. But actually just giving you pretty great arguments for why it is not the case, why it is not the case that it is going to flush out some toxins, or that it is actually changing how your body is flushing out the toxins and whatnot. So compared to most of our animal brethren, which is actually a word that I don't know, she had a younger brother named William, which is sibling brethren. Is it like a synonym? Oh no, I'm sorry. It is actually a synonym for sibling, or for brother, isn't it? Brethren. It's actually brother. It really is. I didn't know that. Plural of brother. What the fuck? I really didn't know that. We are some of the most water inefficient beings on the planet, which is, I think, something that you can assume, because like 2 liters of water each and every day is quite something. It really, really, really indeed is. And if we're talking about sweating, and if we're talking about urine, and if we're just talking about your mouth fluids, which is basically probably having an English word, but I don't know it. So we're actually kind of inefficient with our water consumption, I would say, in the end, and just how we are using the water. We have no real way to store excess water or replenish our lost reserves. It is actually the case, we can't we can only store them in our urine department thing, which is not going to be that good in the end, because you're going to just have to piss all the fucking time. And it is really, really, really annoying in the end, kinda. Over the course of the day, we lose some water as water vapor from our breath, and some water is lost through sweat. And these water losses are called insensible water losses because we don't notice that we are losing them, compared to when you're just going for a piss. Then you just notice that. You know that you're urinating at this point in time, But if you're sweating and if you're just breathing, which is, by the way, something that I wasn't thinking about, that if you're just breathing, that you're also going to lose some water because of that, we're not noticing that. Even someone living in cold climate who is not exercising loses somewhere between 500 and 1,000, which is a liter, of free water through sweat every day. So, of course, it does change with the climate you're living in. Of course, if you're living in an area where there's a lot of heat and you're sweating a lot, of course you're gonna lose more water and more of this insensible water than you're losing in just the Antarctica. Like it's just totally gonna be the case. But still, it is not as like, okay, if you're just living in a very, very cold place, that you not just have to drink anything the whole day long because you're not sweating. We're still sweating, we're basically vaporizing water, so to just basically regulate our climate in terms of our body and our body temperature and all these things. And of course, you're gonna need more water to do that in very hot areas than compared to. Of course, if you move to the tropics, you will produce much more sweat to compensate for the extra heat. But all told, roughly 1.5 to 2 liters of water loss are obligatory losses that we cannot do anything about. So these 1.5 to 2 liters is something that just happens. It is not something that we can regulate. It is not something that we can do anything about. It is actually what it is. But of course, if you're living in a very, very cold place, it's maybe going to be a liter and not 1.5. But yeah. And those who exercise, live in hot climates, or have a fever will obviously lose more water because of more sweating. But if you're now thinking about 8 glasses of water a day, which originated from a 1945 US Food and Nutrition Board, it is going to turn out to 2.5 liters of daily water intake. That most of the water intake could come from food sources is not something that they have considered. And especially they're also saying but what is generally forgotten from this recommendation is firstly, that it was not based on any research, and that secondly, the recommendation stated that most of the water intake could come from food sources as well. But just because I've left out something in the very first thing, if you're just losing 1.5 to 2 liters a day, it just means that you also have to basically replenish them. So you have to replenish those roughly 2 liters, as they say, of water by doing something. And it's not going to be 8 glasses of water, because it's going to be 2.5 liters, which is probably something that you're not going to need, I guess, as they say. And also just because you can also eat it. So as they say now, all food has some water in it. Of course, as they also say, juicy fruits compared to raisins is going to be a huge fucking difference. If you're eating an apple, which is consisting mostly of water, of course, it is going to be more water than compared to a raisin. But you can easily end up with consuming 2 liters of water by just only eating regular food. As they say, suffice is to say that by eating regular food and having coffee, juice, or what have you will end up consuming 2 liters of water without having to go seek it out specifically. So the thing is, we are going to eat anyway. This is kind of the point there. We're going to eat anyway. And it is, by the way, something that I'm also heavily having to think about, because I'm not drinking any water whatsoever each day. I'm not drinking anything. But of course, I'm eating quite a lot, especially if you're thinking about oats. If you're just making yourself oats, which is kind of my daily routine, if I'm doing that, I'm obviously using water or just almond milk or just another just type of milk, but not milk, just some quote-unquote vegan milk, I guess it is actually. So the thing is, if I'm eating my oats and I'm just having water in them and they're soaking it all up, I've drank something, but I have not drank something, even though it is probably going to be a liter maybe, sometimes even more. Like it just depends on how you like your oats. Some like them a little bit on the drier side, some like them a little bit on the just more more fluidy side. But it can really go up to 1 liter, maybe even more, 750 milliliter, 500 milliliter, which is quite something. If we think about the fact that we are roughly using quite 2 liters of water each day in our body, which is, as you're thinking about it, or if you think about it, it's not that much. And if you then consider that you are gonna eat, you're just gonna eat anyway. Of course, I don't know how much water there is in meat. I kind of assume that there is actually some water in meat. It would actually be interesting. Maybe I'm gonna look that up afterwards. The thing is, you're gonna eat anyway. So do you really need to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water each day just because you've already been eating, hopefully, a bunch of fruits, veggies, and all those things which are most often consisting just mostly of water? It's like, do you really need it? So in the end, what they are saying is you will get thirsty if your body knows that you're having not enough water. And it is actually something which is quite something that's really interesting. I've been talking about this today with my girlfriend, and I was like, well, if I need some water, then I'll probably get thirsty. Like, why just are we then getting thirsty if it is not about just being dehydrated? If we are dehydrated, then of course we're gonna get thirsty. And if I'm not, then I'm not gonna get thirsty. And I think it also makes sense, It just really does make sense, because if I'm not thirsty, I'm not gonna drink something. I wouldn't also have been doing this in the Stone Age, or I really like to compare us to just really past generations and whatnot, because I think they also wouldn't have just drank something, especially just because I think there wasn't too much water available for them. And I think they also wouldn't have been able to do that. Maybe they have been able to just drink some water. But I mean, if I'm just doing sports and I'm getting really thirsty, which is gonna be the case, then I'm either drinking something, but also if I'm eating an apple, that's just also gonna do the trick, But even though thirst and hunger is not the exact same thing, it really is not, because just I was thinking whether you could actually kind of still your thirst through eating something. Not because of the water there is inside of the apple or meat or whatever you might be eating, but just because maybe your body thinks that you've eaten something, and therefore, I don't know, could have been the case. But I don't really think so. So if you're thirsty, drink water. If you're not thirsty, then you do not need to go out and purposefully drink 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, since you will probably get all the water in your regular diet. Yes. Important to avoid dehydration and heat stroke, which is still going to be mostly, as they also say, for older people. If you're living in a very hot place, then of course, please drink enough water, to just actually prevent dehydration, which is maybe going to lead to headaches and also heat strokes. Older people are more likely to become dehydrated without realizing it. Thus, the take-home message is drinking water when you're thirsty, but on very hot days, it might not be a bad idea to stay ahead of the curve and keep hydrated. Drinking more water than necessary is not particularly dangerous. Drink more water and you will simply get rid of it in your urine. Kidneys is to make sure that water losses equal water intake, which is kind of what the kidney is doing. It equals the water losses and the water intake. And then that's quite it. If they don't, and if water intake exceeds water loss, then you will start retaining water, and every day you will accumulate more and more until you start to see swelling your legs. Gravity drags water downwards, which is why your feet swell first. This is the problem people with heart failure and kidney disease experience. They accumulate water because they cannot excrete it from the body. But as they say, it's not gonna, which is, I think it's what they're talking about there. Thus, while drinking excess water is unlikely to cause any major problems, there are some patients who will likely to be told by their physicians to restrict water intake because of their heart or kidney disease. Yes, because you don't need it. If you're not thirsty, then you also probably don't need it. But of course, if you're I think it might also be a reason why, especially if you're having some kidney problems, but you're still drinking a lot of alcohol and beer, that it could be a problem, because it is not about being thirsty then. But I think also alcohol is doing something to your thirst, so that they're actually feeling thirsty even though you're not. So kinda something like that. There was something, or you just have to take more pisses. I'm not quite sure. There's no real advantage to drinking more water. Some people believe that drinking more water helps flush out toxins or helps your kidney in some way. But that is actually not true. Your kidney filters about 180 liters of blood each and every day. Give that you have about 5 liters of blood inside you at any given moment, your kidney filters the equivalent of your blood volume 36 times per day. Yes, because 5 times 36 is going to be 180. Any excess water you drink is a drop in a metaphorical bucket and shouldn't make a difference. But you don't have to take my word for it. A recent study in the Journal of the American Medical Association tested this very question. And in the end, drinking more water did not offer up any benefit in terms of kidney function. The only change you will see is that your urine goes from yellow to clear, and it is like a really important one, this as well. It goes from yellow to clear, which actually has no medical implication for your health, so you don't have to waste any energy worrying about getting your 6 to 8 glasses of water each and every day. You have been unconsciously doing it every day of your life. Maybe even. Because the thing is, if you don't think about it, you're also not gonna drink something. If I'm not thirsty, and if I'm not neglecting it. I'm not being like, okay, I don't have to drink something because I'm not thirsty. But if I'm actually getting thirsty, then I'm gonna drink something. But if I'm not, then I'm also not gonna drink something. Like, it actually does make sense. Like, why would you? If my body doesn't need more than it is having, why should I give it more? Quite. Like, it makes sense. But I do want to point out once again that it is not what I think. It is definitely not, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not that educated in that space. I just think that it would make sense. The thing is, please just do your own research. Please just look for it on your own. But it is just, I think, a very good example of just showing that critical thinking could really do something to you, because this is something that a lot of people have been thinking about and a lot of people have been talking about. But in fact, some people are gonna change it, But it could also change things for yourself if you're just thinking about things in a critical way, and if you're just trying to recognize these things that just people have been talking about, which, I don't know, it does not necessarily have to be the truth. It's the exact same thing as it was with milk. A lot of people thought that milk was actually really healthy and whatnot, even though it only has bad fat as far as I know. I just always kind of mix it up, whether the saturated fats are the healthy ones or the non-saturated fats. But in the end, milk is having the bad ones, mostly. I don't know if they're also having the good ones. I'm not that into these just nutritional facts of everything. But in the end, it's also like, okay, I think it was Canada that decided to just not have it in their pyramid of what you actually need. But something that I actually wanted to point out as well is the suggested scientific sites. So the first one is, as you can see there, the American Council on Science and Health, the Quackwatch, Respectful Insolence, Science-Based Medicine, Science in the Mural of Life, Sense About Science USA, The Body of Evidence, and the Skeptics Society and Skeptics Magazine. World of Chem, yes. There's also the kind of just the address, McGill University, Sherbrooke Street West, Montreal, Quebec. If it is just pronounced like this, I don't know. And there is also just on the very bottom, I'm actually going to show you. On the very bottom, there's also some keywords, and I've just been just pressing on the water keyword, the foundation of youth and alligators. And there's then some topics around that. Yes. The yellow color in balanced urine comes from urochrome, a waste product that comes from the breakdown of hemoglobin, or hemoglobin, whatever it is pronounced. Hemoglobin is the protein in red blood cells that enables oxygen to travel around the body. Red blood cells are renewed in their millions every day, so the body needs to break down old cells. The urochrome from this process ends up in the urine as a yellow color. Darker shades of yellow suggest that an individual may be dehydrated and needs water. I want to point out may be dehydrated. While bright yellow urine does not necessarily indicate dangerous health issues, it is important to keep a close eye on the color of urine, because of course, if it is red or green or whatnot, then of course, actually there's something. Orange, dehydration, certain drugs and medications, dietary factors such as eating lots of carrots. Whatever you're eating, also in terms of your shit, it's gonna change it. Red, blood and urine, is not good, really not good. Eating beetroots or blackberries. Bright yellow, an excess of vitamin B, for example, if you're taking vitamin B supplements. Pale yellow, healthy and hydrated. Purple, Pertheria, a rare metabolic disorder. Purple. Brown, certain psychotic drugs, certain antibiotics, and other things. Drugs, or green, drugs contain phenol, some antidepressants, dyes in food, which should actually not be the case, I guess. And then there's actually also a description. I'm actually also gonna link that page down if you're interested in that. When you're typing in on the McGill site urine color, just because I was looking for an article that actually talks about why it is not not a big deal if your urine is just relatively dark yellow, because the other one, the medical news, said that it might be because of dehydration. But are you really dehydrated if you're not feeling like you're thirsty? I don't think so. Therefore, it's like, it's strange. But they say, what is fluorescence? Like, really imagine that, you're just pissing in the night and it is like just glowing. Would actually be kind of weird though. But yeah, I think that this is going to be the end of the episode. I really hope that I've been able to just share something of importance here, because it is actually something that I've been talking about today as well. Like, if you're having a voice in the internet or just in public or just in reality and whatnot, one of the best things about that is that you can just point out things and you can talk about things, and you can say like, well, have a look at Australia. They're really in a bad position. Please consider donating something to them. It is amazing. It really is. But you're able to do something like that if you're just having a voice and if people are listening to you. And I think it is amazing. I think it is an amazing thing, and I would actually also appreciate that, having that, and just being able to impact things, I would say. And in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. But yeah, I wish you the best health, happiness, and all success, and I also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are, why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. Because a lot of businesses started out with solving some problems that really pissed them off in the first place. And there's probably also going to be something like that in your life as well, that nobody solved at this point in time or up to this point in time, but you could at least try it. But yeah, please consider subscribing. I would appreciate that, and I'm hopefully going to see you the next time.